What are the best miniatures for each faction in 40k? Let's get into it. So, as a disclaimer, guys, these are my picks. So I'm going to choose this on sculpt quality. A little bit of personal bias, because I like certain models more than others. And also painting experience. If I've painted it and I think it's a great mini, I'll tell you why. Table presence, how this model makes you feel on the table, how it makes you feel when, you know, your favorite character goes off and kills something in combat. It's awesome. So we're going to be focusing on the characters of 40k. Let's go into my first pick. And in obligatory YouTube, please like and subscribe. We love making these videos. We want to make more for you. So if you like and subscribe to get notifications for the next one, that'd be awesome. And without further ado, let's get into my first pick. So to start off, I'm going to go with Black Templars. Black Templars are one of my favorite they are my favorite Space Marine chapter. And I have a very clear winner for this faction. Now, I painted him recently. He is awesome. He is my favorite Space Marine character. It is the Grand Marshal Helbrecht. This guy really captures the essence of Black Templars for me. He looks fantastic. He has two little servitors polishing his sword for him. He's got a dead orc on the base. He's got completely gold armor, which I know you don't have to do it that way, but he looks totally cool. He has a crown, which is totally cool. He has candles. He just reads as a Black Templar for me in that super, like, crusade-y sort of way, which is super awesome. Also, my experience playing him, he's super heroic. He always feels like he's done something. Even when he dies to something that shouldn't kill, or he dies to something that should kill him. And table presence-wise, he just looks fantastic. So yeah, for me, not even close. Helbrecht is the best. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to keep on this Space Marine theme. We're going to go with Blood Angels. So, Blood Angels, I have one pick and I have one honorable mention. So, the first guy is Commander Dante. He is my favorite Black Blood Angel miniature, but followed shortly by someone else. I'll go into that. But Commander Dante is, he just wants to die, man. He just wants to die. And then he said, we've got this really risky surgery. You might die if you take the surgery. And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. And he survived, and he's still working for Gulliman, which is great. So, Dante is great for a few reasons. His lore is awesome. His model is fantastic. He's got that really dynamic sort of look that you'd want to see for a Blood Angel character jumping into combat. His axe looks fantastic. When I painted him myself, there's not too much detail, so it's actually a really nice model to pick up if you've not picked up a character model before. And, yeah, I think Dante just feels like Dante. his model feels great. And as an honorable mention for the Blood Angels, we're going to say Lamartes. He was my favorite model released out of the new range. I do think the Sanguinary Guard were a little bit lackluster in my opinion, but Lamartes looks fantastic. Dark Angels. So the Dark Angels has... Well, I don't think the Dark Angels is even close either. I'm just going to get straight into it. It's the Lion. The Lion looks fantastic. He is such a cool miniature. Like, he's got the little Watcher in the Dark going on. He's got a sculpted base, a beautiful, massive cloak. He's got the two options. His helmet head looks great, and his, normal head looks great as well. There's loads of ways you can use him. And also, in 10th, he was an absolute monster to just walk around and just being annoying. He just sits on an objective and goes, come on, charge me. I have the fights first rule. And he really feels like the Lion on the battlefield. And also, 3-up Invan. Love that. It's awesome. So, not even close for me. And also, his lore is fantastic. His entire vibe of the Knights of Caliban, awesome. Then they go to fight monsters all the time. I just love him. He's great. So, definitely the Lion. Not even close. Not even going to give an honorable mention. Because also, I don't think they have many of the characters. I'm joking. They have Azrael. Azrael looks great as well. But let's move on to the next one. Space Wolves. So, Space Wolves, I feel like I should say one in particular, but I'm going to go a little bit rogue with this one because I prefer another one. So, Space Wolves, for context, I have painted an entire Space Wolf army. I have had a lot of fun painting that Space Wolf army. I think the color scheme is one of the better Space Marine ones out there. I think that the yellow and the bluey grey work really nicely. But personally, out of the characters I could choose, I'm not going to choose Logan. Just as a heads up, I think Logan is beautiful. I do, and he is very firmly second place for me. But number one, and I don't know if this is like a little bit nostalgia in the fact that his model was redone, it just looks fantastic. It's going to be Arjak Rockfist. This guy's mini is amazing. Like, he's a character hunter. He has all the rules for being a character hunter. He can throw his axe. He is Thor. He is so cool. So personally, I think I would prefer to. I'd love to paint Arjak. Also, Arjak can just sit in a big unit of Terminators and run around and do things, which just feels great. So personally, I'm gonna put Arjak as the top for Space Wolves. I just love his miniature, and I know people are gonna say that Logan's better, and I'm really sorry. It's just I can't let go of my love for Arjak. So let's move on to the next one. Deathwatch. There's not loads to choose from with Deathwatch, really. You could go into the entire Inquisition and all that sort of thing, but I'm going to just firmly say Watchmaster. I think it's a cool mini. I think it's fine. I just don't think there's loads of other options here, really. So yeah, we're going to go with the Watchmaster. I also think there's lots of really cool conversions for Deathwatch, like Gravis Captains and all that sort of thing, to sit in the Indomitus like kill teams, which looks really, really cool as well. So there's lots of potential for Deathwatch characters. I just don't think there's many actual specific Deathwatch characters that have a specific role here. So we're going to not spend too much time on this. I don't really know too much about Watchmasters. So let's move on to the next one. Custodes. So Custodes is an interesting one. You've got a couple of options, but for me, I feel like I've got an honorable mention, but I know who I'm going to pick. So it's going to be Trajan Valoris. He looks great. His lore is awesome. And yeah, I just love the way in 9th edition as well. I just noticed this a while ago, but he had that thing where he was just, I'm going to have a 2-binvud or attack twice, and he really felt like Trajan. He's also one of the characters in there that have damage 3, so it really feels like he's swinging that axe with, purpose behind it, which is super cool. And he just looks fantastic. I don't think there's another pick here that's going to top Trajan, but an honorable mention would be the Shield Catamon jet bike. I think there's a load of conversions there that look fantastic. But on kit itself, and from sculpt itself and painting experience, Trajan is a lovely mini. So I think that's great. So let's move on to the next one. Sisters of Battle. Now, I feel like the typical pick here that I should pick is Mornval, but I'm not going to pick Mornval, as a heads up. Because, yes, she's a lovely miniature, and it's not going to be Celestine either, as a heads up. Not going to be Celestine either. I think they're both lovely miniatures, and I loved painting them when I did. However, I think there's one that tops both by a pretty decent margin, and that's the Triumph of St. Catherine. This model is a diorama. There's like 6 models on there by memory, and the casket with the dead sister in there and all that sort of thing. Loads of iconography, cherubs flying around, books out. Like, you could spend like a couple of months on that mini if you really wanted to, and you'd make it look fantastic, and you could just keep going. Like, you just keep adding to it. Like, my Triumph of St. Catherine was painted in a day, but I really wish I didn't. I wish I spent so much more time on her, because it's just my favorite. I think it's one of my favorite minis in the GW range. It's literally a diorama. And it's so like lore friendly, so it looks so awesome, and great miniature. Absolutely great miniature. So let's move on to the next one. The Imperial Guard. So the Imperial Guard has a few options here. I really like Ursula Creed's miniature. I really like Sly Marbo. He looks really cool. The Gaunt's Ghosts overall, like the vibe of them. They're really cool. But there's one that really, draws me in a way that's a little bit different to the others. And it's Lord Leonidas Solus. Lord Leontis Solus? I don't know, something like that. But he is so cool. He is a mounted Imperial Guard with a sword. He can go into a big unit. He feels like your commander when he uses him. He has commander abilities. The table presence makes you feel like you are using an Imperial Guard commander who is the top of his game. He definitely feels that way. So Solar is an awesome miniature. He's got some really cool rules behind him. And I think he definitely sits here as the number 1 spot. I don't think there's anyone who can top that, really. I'd be very curious to know in the comments if you think there is. But I think Solar takes this by a good country mile. So let's move on to the next one. Adeptus Mechanicus. So the AdMech have some interesting miniatures. In that, I think some of them look really, really cool. I think Belarus Call is one of my favourite miniatures that they have made for the AdMech. But I do feel like some of the tech priests are also really cool as well. The new miniature for, I can't remember her name, but there's a new AdMech miniature I'll show you on a B-roll. But she looks great as well. But I do think that I would go with Belarus Call over everyone else. Just because it's just an iconic model. And also, it's got loads of detail. It's bigger than you'd expect it to be as well. So the tail presence of him feels like he's your commander. Feels like he's an awesome tech priest. And also, he has that little lone ability that keeps him safe, which is super cool. So I'm going to choose Belarus Call for this one, and we're going to move on. Imperial Knights. So Imperial Knights don't really have loads of options here. It's like 2 kits that you can build all of them out of. But the Knight Castellan is my favorite. It's massive. It has loads of guns. It's awesome, and I love it to death. But I've never done an Imperial Knight army, nor have I actually ever painted an Imperial Knight. I've assembled one for someone, But I do think that there's the few options that are here are really cool. I also think that Classic Warglaive looks great here as well. I don't know loads about Imperial Knight lore, to be honest, but I do think they're really cool. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Chaos Space Marines. This is a toughie because there's a few cool characters, but on the basis that the Emperor's Children aren't part of this anymore, I'm going to have to go for Abaddon. Abaddon is the coolest Chaos Space Marine character by a good country mile. And yeah, like I can't say any more. He is the War Master. He is a baby Horus, little guy, and he's awesome. His presence on the battlefield feels great. He's got that commanding aura of rerolls. He gives you like a 4-pin run if you want him to as well. He feels like Abaddon, which is absolutely awesome. Also, he's a monster in combat. So board presence great, sculpt beautiful. Also, as a basis, you can use him for a lot of conversions. You can make a Nurgle Abaddon, you can make a Slaneshi Abaddon, you can make whatever you want for Abaddon. My plan is to make a Night Lord Abaddon at some stage, but that's at some stage in the future. But yes, Abaddon is going to sit here nice and firmly, and we're going to move on to the next one. Death Guard. Death Guard is just Mortarion. Let's be reasonable. I don't think I'm going to give any, lead up to this. Mortarion is the coolest Death Guard miniature by a good country mile. His wingspan, he feels, intimidating. He's huge. Is what they did correct with Mortarion compared to Angron, in my opinion. He's got this massive wingspan, feels like a Chaos Primarch, feels like the scale of him is big and awesome. And also, his scythe is awesome. His, let's say, table presence, he is Mortarion. He is the table presence. He is the drama. So, he is awesome. And also, the sculpt is beautiful. Like, I can't say any more than that. Like, Mortarion sits very solidly here for the Death Guard as number one. And let's move on to the next one. Thousand Suns. So, I want to pick Magnus. And I'm going to have to pick Magnus, I think. Yeah, I'm going to have to pick Magnus. I mean, I had an idea that I think that a couple of the aspiring sorcerers actually look great. Like the Infernal Master looks great. But in terms of scale, in terms of actual sculpt quality and, how good he actually looks, I have to choose Magnus. Just because he is, again, the Thousand Suns Primarch. He looks fantastic. He's the character of it. And Ahriman is also really cool. But I think that Magnus, just on his scale and board presence and also sculpt quality, is better than the others. So yeah, so Magnus is going to sit there, and Magnus did do something wrong. He made me pick him, which is annoying. But I wanted to try and not pick the Primarch for every single one of the Chaos factions, but it's really hard not to because those miniatures are stunning. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Let's go on to the World Eaters. And again, I'm going to have to pick Angron. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm literally just picking all of the Chaos Primarchs for their respective factions, but I have no choice because they are the best miniature. Like, I would love to be controversial here and say like, oh, Master Executions, but it just feels wrong. It feels disingenuous. So I'm going to have to go with Angron here. I think he is probably still not like, my favorite of the Chaos Primarchs. I think Magnus is my least favorite, followed by Angron, followed by Mortarion, followed by Fulgrim. I love them all, but I do prefer others over, others. So yeah, that's where I'm going to sit with this one. But Angron's really cool. He fought Sanguinius, and that went well for him, I'm sure. But yeah, his lore is great. He's done loads of stuff in the Horus Heresy. So yeah, I think he is definitely the coolest character and the best model by a good country mile. Chaos Knights. So, again, this is like 2 or 3 kits that can be built into one. However, I think the Abominant looks great, mainly because you've got like a big claw thing. I think that's the one. Yeah, big claw thing. And the battle shocks are really fun. Like, it's really cool. And also, it still has that like sort of commandeering sort of essence here, right? And it is one of your characters, so I think that's kind of where you're at, right? But the Chaos Knights are, I think, cooler than the Imperial Knights, just because I think Chaos versions of things are cooler than the non-Chaos versions. But I really like the Knight Abominant, and let's move on to the next one, because I don't have much to talk about on the CK, unfortunately. So let's just move on to the next one. Orks. Orks have some amazing characters, some stunning kits. And I'm going to go through a couple of honorable mentions, and then we'll go into the best ones. I think the new Wazdaka is phenomenally good. Like, I painted him up. He looks awesome. I love that miniature. Board presence feels great. He looks incredible. The sculpt quality is stunning, and he is fantastic. And the second honorable mention I'm going to say is going to be, I'd say the new boss in the Armageddon kit looks incredible. That entire sculpt just looks great. But number one, it's just got to be Ghazghkull. I can't not choose Ghazghkull if I'm picking up my favorite model in the Orc range. I just have to. The Necrons. So the Necrons, I know everyone's going to tell me to do Silent King, but I'm not going to do Silent King because he's not my favorite. He's not my favorite by like a good chunk, actually. I think he's very cool. I think he's definitely top 3. I think he's 3rd for me. But my number 1 is going to be the Nightbringer. That model is absolutely stunning. It follows second to the Void Dragon. I think those two models are way better than the Silent King by a big stretch. And the Void Dragon's model just looks so Necron-y, even though it's not. It's really strange. But it's like the little blocks coming off of him, almost like the Matrix sort of style artwork around him and that sort of thing. It just looks fantastic. And also the Nightbringer is the Harbinger of Death. He might not be called that. I've just made that up. But he's going to walk forward and do a load of cool stuff. And also the board presence for both of those miniatures are so cool. He's so tall and like domineering, and he just looks great. So the Nightbringer for Necrons. And let's move on to the next one. The Aeldari. So the Aeldari, this is hard. I really love a lot of the Phoenix Lords because they look great. And I love a lot of the, the standard, character kits. I think the Altar kit looks just awesome. There's loads of options in there as well for like conversions and all that sort of thing. But if we're just talking about best model, it has to be one of the avatars for me. I think they're first and second. I think it's really hard for me to pick between these two, by the way, guys. I love the Uncarn and I love the Avatar. But I'm going to have to go with the Avatar just because he is the more iconic one. His kit is awesome. There's loads of options to build him as well. The fact that you can give him different, like an axe or a spear or a sword or whatever you want, right? It just feels like, he feels like the Avatar. He was one of the biggest glow-ups in the Aeldari, I say recently. I think that model's been out for a while now. But he looks awesome. So we're going to go with the Avatar. I'm going to move on to the next one. The Drukhari. So Drukhari are pretty cool. They're another flavor of elf, right? But I feel like they have a very wide variety of models that look really good. Now, I think a while ago, I'd have just picked Drazar and we've been done with this conversation because Drazar's model is absolutely stunning. However, the new Lady Malice is beautiful. That model looks amazing. So I'm going to pick Lady Malice because I like her and she has a cool fan. And I think it's really, really cool. I think it's a fan anyway. If it's not, it's not. But yeah. So Lady Malice for the Drukhari, I think she's just got an amazing sculpt. She's got some really cool abilities. And on the battlefield, she feels really cool as well. And also, as a model, I do think she outdoes Drazar a little bit, just from the sculpt quality alone. So yeah, that's where I'm going to sit with Drukhari. Let's move on to the next one. The Genestealer Cults. So, Genestealer Cults don't really have any named characters, which is interesting. So, we're going to go with a choice of the bog standard characters. I'm going to have to go for the Benefactors here. Benefactor's the big brain guy. He looks awesome. Mainly because he's one of the newer sculpts, and he looks a lot better than the others. I'd say the Nexus looks great, though. Like, with his little, technology bits and his little buttons. Enjoying life. It's pretty cool. But I think that the Benefactors just looks... there's another level, I think. It's different to the Nexus. But, yeah. I'm going to go to the Benefactors on this guy, and then we will move on. The Tyranids. So, the best Tyranid character. Obviously, there's not loads of characters in the Tyranids, really. You've basically got the Tyranid Hive Tyrant, the Neuro Tyrant. I suppose you have got the Red Terror. He is a character. So, that's an easy decision. It's the Red Terror. The Red Terror is an absolutely fantastic miniature. I really like him. I assembled him recently. And he just looks great, doesn't he? He just looks absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, his scale is actually a little bit bigger than I thought it would be as well, which is awesome. I wanted him to be a little bit bigger. So, yeah, he's awesome. And also, like, I haven't used him on the board yet, but just from his size and his scale, really makes him feel like a really cool character. So, yeah. So I'm going to pick the Red Terror for Tyranids, and then we'll move on to the next one. Tau. Tau have a few characters about, don't they? It has to be a battlesuit guy, of course, and I think it has to be Commander Farsight. I'm not going to get into this one too much. He looks fantastic. I've seen a few synthwaves color schemes with him. I've seen him paint traditionally. I've seen some conversions with him, like made into like a crew combat battlesuit version of Farsight and all that sort of thing. And it's just fantastic. No notes, whoever did that conversion, by the way. I don't actually have it to hand, and I don't know who did it, but it looks awesome. So I would definitely say Commander Farsight here. He is the coolest Tau miniature by a good margin. So, and he's also the coolest character, because that's what we're going with. So that's going to be my view on Tau, and then we're going to move on to the next one. And we're going to go on to the Leagues of Votann. So Leagues of Votann have some new really cool characters. They have Beric, they have Uthar the Destined, and all that sort of thing. And I think they've got some really cool options, and it's really difficult to choose. But I'm going to have to go with Uthar the Destined, just because he just looks awesome. His sculpt quality is great. His entire vibe is just what I want for a Leagues of Votann character. He seems like your commander. He feels like your commander on the battlefield. He just looks amazing, and I imagine he's just an absolute pleasure to paint. So I'm going to choose the Leagues of Votann. However, guys, I picked that without actually having like assembled him before or any of the Leagues of Votann characters. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I really like the look of him, so I'm going to choose him. He's on my list to try and build and paint, though. So and the next one we're going to cover is Emperor's Children. So Emperor's Children, he is probably one of my favorite miniatures in 40k. I have to pick Fulgrim. He is unbelievable. He's just so cool. He looks, he's just got this massive serpentine body. The swings a huge scale. He's got that laughing face, the different mask options and all that sort of thing. He's got his long wavy hair. His whip and his sword all together just look awesome. His entire aesthetic just feels like Fulgrim. It feels like that sneaky, mischievous sort of nature that he is. And yeah, I have to pick him. So with Emperor's Children, I'm going to leave him with that. I'm going to move on. Next, we go on to Chaos Demons. Chaos Demons, I have a couple, but I'm going to pick one, don't worry. So I think that the Great and Clean one is a great miniature. I think basically all the greater demons I like, bar maybe the Bloodthirster is probably my least favorite, but it still looks great. But the best miniature, probably by a good country mile, and I think a fair few of you are going to agree with me here, is going to be Be'lakor. Again, probably one of the best miniatures that they've made from GW. I know I keep saying that. I probably need to make a top 10 miniatures of all time at some stage, but one for each faction seemed fun at the time. So Be'lakor for Deep Chaos Demons, he is just stunning. He just looks amazing. The sculpted base, the chains, he just feels like a demon come straight out of hell. And it's just so cool. So Be'lakor will sit firmly in the number one spot for demons for me. And then we're going to move on to the last one. Ultramarines. We've left them till last because everyone loves Ultramarines. So I think you've got a couple of options here. So I think you've got Titus as an option. I think you have Guilliman as an option. I think you have Calgar as an option, like new Calgar. I think those are the three I would be picking from for the new characters. And I'm not going to pick Guilliman because I actually don't think... I think he's nice, but I don't think he's the nicest Primarch. And I also think on sculpt quality, the new Marnius is actually slightly better. And I actually like Marnius more. I don't know whether it's the Zeus Space Marine game because I've seen Marnius in action, but hey, I'm going to pick Marnius Calgar for the number one spot for the Ultramarines. And that leads us to the end of our favourite character minis from the entire Warhammer 40k range. Thank you if you guys have got this far in the video. If you want to drop me a like and subscribe and a comment for the things I've got wrong, that would be awesome. And thank you for all the support you've been giving me so far, guys. It's been absolutely awesome, and I'm looking forward to making more videos for you guys. The most recent video with the Tyranids challenge is up as well. If you want to go check that out, that's fun. We've also got a new audio setup, which is fun as well, so you'll hopefully notice the difference there. And yeah, so until the next one, guys, much love and bye-bye.